Yo, 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 yo. What's going on, Santos?
How you doing, my man?
How you doing, man?
I'm doing good, Alice. I'm doing great. How you doing?
I'm doing well, man. First of all, thank you for you're actually the second person who I interviewed,
Oh wow, really?
and I'm really excited about it.
Good.
And you know, um, and I want to share why. Because you started a podcast, right? You promote leaders, you promote advocacy, community, and that's what I'm also doing in this podcast as well. So you inspired that, and I appreciate that. But I want to give you the opportunity to introduce yourself to the viewers.
Uh,
So Santos, who are you, man?
First of all, I want to say thank you for inviting me to your podcast. It's my honor being here. And I'm nobody special. I'm Santos Javier. I'm Dominican. I was raised in Broad Street in Providence, and after that, I live in Odinville, Silver Lake, my whole entire life.
Hmm. You said nobody special.
Nobody special.
That's a very humble response, man. I don't think, and I know that's gonna come out of you. I know you personally, but man, like you've had a journey, like you've had some experiences, and most recently, one thing that you have done is ran for councilman,
I did.
right, for Ward 15.
I did. Yeah.
So, what inspired you to do that? Like, why do you want to become a council person, and for this area specifically?
Well, when the previous councilwoman left her position, I felt, that spot needed to be filled with someone that really cares and, love his community. I've been in this community my whole life, and I felt that, with the people that I know in this community, that I was the right person, to continue that legacy. And I care for my community, and I just want my community to be better and have a better representation.
And I know one way that you have been serving your community is through your podcast,
I have,
right?
yeah.
And what is the name of your podcast?
It's Santos Javier TV,
Say that one more time.
Santos Javier TV and podcast.
Because this is what this podcast is about,
That's
promoting community folks who are advocates, who are actually serving the community in real ways. So tell me about that, because you told me the concept in relations to your podcast and how you want to connect the community to reps and stuff like that. But why don't you share your idea, because that's your baby.
Well, that idea came about to be when I was canvassing, running for city council, and I kept talking to my constituent and the people that I was knocking on doors, and I kept hearing, their concerns, and most of the concerns, were going into deaf ears, and I felt that I needed to give them a voice, and I saw that most of them don't even know who their leader is, and and their policies, and that's things that affects everybody.
Of course.
So what I did was I started a podcast, and tried to bridge that gap between leaders in the community, or leaders in politics, and bringing closer to the people in the community. At the same time, give the people in the community a voice, to voice a platform to voice their concern for what they needed be done in their community, and trying to fill the gap and find a solution for that community. So that's why I started the podcast, so I can bring leaders, and people, they get to share their policies, and people get to see who they are. That way they know who they're voting for, and if their policies affect them or not, if that's the right candidate for them. And at the same time, I'll bring people to voice their raise and voice their concerns, that of things, issues that that affects our communities, and trying to find a solution for that, because the leaders, they listen to my podcast, and the community listen to my podcast. So through here, we'll be able to find a solution, and that's the point of this podcast.
And it's cool because, I mean, I'm from this community as well. Not Onlyville per se, but I'm from the inner city. And so a lot of us do feel like we're unheard, right? A lot of us feel like, what's the whole point of expressing something if, it's going to fall on deaf ears and stuff like that? And I really like how you framed it, where, you have like the leaders here, you talk to them, the viewers can, see that interview, but they can also, because you are a voice, they can also kind of talk to you about this person, right? It's almost like your podcast area is a place where, where leaders and constituents come together for some sort of understanding.
Right. I'm basically the referee.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah, I bring them both to the boxing ring. You know what I mean? And I'll let them, just through their concerns. You know what I mean? And they'll find about their leaders, and the leaders will find about the community. You know what I mean? And just the way I bring leaders to that, to the podcast, I also bring that community. I'm also knocking on doors and speaking with people, and asking them like, what is it that you need? And people are calling me like, hey, Santos, this is going on. Can you help us? And I'm like, all right, let's go to the podcast, and let's talk about the issue, and the leaders will listen to that, and hopefully will come to some sort of a solution, an assessment, and try to find out the best way to, get a result.
So there's also like a layer of accountability. Like you're adding, like your voice is the voice of accountability as well.
Yeah. Right.
Okay, that's really cool, man.
Yeah, just bringing, everyone together. You know what I mean? Because politicians, most people see them on TV.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
That is true.
And that's all they know about them, what they see on TV. But when they see them come to our community, you know what I mean? And then, they see more humanized, you know what I mean? Than what they see on TV. At the same time, they'll call me from our community and be like, hey, Santos, when, this is going on in our community, can you help us? I'm like, all right, let's talk about it. And, bring it to my platform in the podcast, and, the leaders will listen, and they'll be like, oh, they'll call me Santos, so this is going on, let's get together, let's do some community leadership, and let's voice them, and let's try to, assess it, and, make an assessment and find, a solution, and try to work, on to resolve, that issue. And that's what I'm trying to do. That's,
So from your experience in canvassing, and I've canvassed before in campaigns, man, they're not fun.
Not at all.
They're not fun, and I used to do it in the summer. I would melt.
Better than winter. Better than winter.
But from your experience, right, since you're uplifting the community's voices, like what are some concerns or some trends that you have been seeing in terms of what people bring up? Like what kinds of problem have people in your community have been expressing?
People will always have something to say, but the most common, is about speeding through their streets. They got children, they got families, and, they care about, their community. So they always, trying to ask for some sort of, accountability for the drivers, who speed down, the street. So they want something like a speed bump, or they want to see more police activity. You know what I mean? Some of them also concerned, about the safety. Safety is a big issue, in our community. I don't know if you heard of, but, there have been a lot of catalytic converter theft,
I've heard about,
So
I've been hearing
that's been going on a lot, and a lot of people are like, we need more police, we need this, what can we do? You know what I mean? So
and people actually, it's and boilers too, like those kinds of equipment. I know catalytic converters is one thing, but even like home equipment's like boilers.
Well, if they find an abandoned house, that boiler's gone.
Yeah,
they go,
like boiler, metals, anything that can
copper.
Be because it can be converted into cash.
And
who would, you know what I mean? Like big piles of money
right.
too.
Yeah, but catalytics, like they do it like even by on the, let's say you go into the market. You know what I mean? And by the time you walk out with your groceries, your car is sounding like it needs a muffler.
Yeah.
And that's
don't leave it around.
And you probably think you left it on the street somewhere. Like, yo, where's my muffler? But it's not your muffler. Your car is gone. You know what I mean? And that costs more than the cars. I seen people that have
some repairs is just crazy.
Yeah, I seen people they just have to get rid of the vehicles, because it's more expensive than the car itself. And I feel sorry for them because, like that's the only thing they have to get around. And if you live in Rhode Island, we don't have a metro station. And for you to wait for a bus, you'll be frozen to death. You think you know what I mean? By the time you get in the bus, you know what I mean? So they relied on their vehicle heavily.
Of course,
we all do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And especially everything is time. You got to be here at a certain time. Uber is not cheap.
Not yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, they used to be.
And that's what used to be the trend. But now, that people hook, but I can understand that gas prices are up and, and everything else. And, but yeah, that's what most people, most of the, common concern of the residents in this area.
Yo, Santos, so I want to ask a question that, it's going to probe a little bit because I'm doing this podcast to show people who face barriers to try to pursue their dreams or something like that. This is the reason why I'm doing it, right? So you're doing amazing things. Like you ran for council, you're doing your podcast, and your podcast you managed to interview, the governor, you managed to interview the mayor of Providence, and just different leaderships, right? When did you realize, or how did you realize that you actually were capable of doing all of that? When did you realize, like, hey, I can actually be successful?
No, I didn't, because I was thinking about my community. I was thinking about the people. You know what I mean? I wasn't thinking like, oh, I'm gonna, interview the governor, because I had no idea how to get a hold of them or contact them. They didn't know me. I really didn't know them. You know what I mean? But all I knew is that the people needed a voice, that the people have concerns. And I was like, if I was them, how would I be able to raise my concerns? Who would I go to? Who would I talk to? You know what I mean? They have nobody. You know what I mean? They left behind technically. So that's why I was like, I need to build a platform that they can come aboard and, talk, you know what I mean? Like they do community meetings, it's like a group of people that we like, oh yeah, this is going on, and it stays there, goes into their ears. But with this, everyone will see it. Everyone will watch it, and everyone is paying attention.
So to me, it sounds like your advocacy kind of inspired you to reach for much more. Right. So, there's your purpose, like serving the community and stuff like that. That's what makes you want to, pursue everything that you're pursuing, because of course, you want to be a voice and stuff like that. And again, you're balancing so much, right? You're constantly building, you're constantly creating. You're a creator, How do you balance all that? Like, what is your mental wellness routine? Like, that sounds like a lot of pressure. That's just my opinion. I don't want to speak that on to you.
It's not easy. You technically on your own, but you do it, thinking, about others. When you have the strength of like thinking about your friends and your community and your family, and what can I do to give back to my community? What can I do to help? Because that's the whole point. I ran, for office. It's because I want to help. I want to be able to do something. But you find yourself powerless sometimes, with things, because you don't know who to talk to, where to go, and this is, why I built this. It's because, I put myself in their shoes. What if it was me that needed this
similar
stuff?
experience too. Like, you lived that. So, like, what's up?
And, like, there's people that, like, I have some lady that, her property, got messed up, by, a tenant that she had, and she had a big problem, and she didn't know who to talk to. And she asked me, like, who do I talk to? I said, well, call, city inspector, or, do this, or, like, there's things, but it's not enough. There's so much stuff going on, and I believe that, this platform, will help, find closure.
Of course, man.
And people are watching. That's the main thing. Every day.
Every time.
And people are taking notice, and people, are following, and they seen, and, and it's trying to create a movement. So that politicians, or anybody else, that, they, before they run, they have to know, like, okay, let me do the right thing for the community. Not for self-gain.
Right. And the community
because the community will tell, and now they know.
Yep. Real recognizes real. And, you said that. We were just having a conversation about that before we hop on to this podcast, talking about real recognizes real.
Right.
And the community does have a way of, to identify, like, okay, this person's full of it, or no, this person's for me. Man, I think you're very serious, because I just want to talk about the technology that you have for your podcast, man. Like, if anybody, or the people that had the privilege to come into your podcast, they know.
Oh, yeah.
They know the investment that you have made. How did you get into like technology? Let's talk about that interest for a little bit, because like even right now, I'm looking at you having a conversation with you, but I'm very impressed with the technology, man. I don't get it. You have so much.
Yeah, I love tech. I always been into tech. Like when I was in high school, I studied electronics, and I taught myself how to do electronics, because even in high school, Teachers were not really teaching.
Yeah, who's gonna teach you electronics? What high school did you go to?
Central High School. I went to Central.
Who teaches electronics?
And it wasn't even Central. In Central, there was another building, right now it's called the Institute Tech.
Yeah, I know PCTA.
PCA in Central. But before I used to have another name. I think it was Hanley Vocational.
Okay, I didn't know that. So
Hanley,
I'm learning some more history. I gotta get more informed with my history.
Yeah, get informed.
Yeah.
It was. As a matter of fact, I got a diploma from Central and Hanley Vocational.
Ah, okay.
You know? So it was called Hanley Vocational, and there was a teacher there that used to teach electronics, and he didn't really do anything for us. Then I had to teach myself, you know, everything, because I really love electronics. I love tech. As a matter of fact, soon.
What is it about tech that you love, though? What do you think it does for you?
Tech is magic.
Yeah, I feel the same way.
Tech is magic.
It makes no sense.
Tech is like, if 2,000 years ago, you would be like, that's magic. Yeah. Tech is magic. I can speak with you and you're like in the other side of the moon. You know what I mean? And see you live and talk to you and do all these things. And
like FaceTime.
FaceTime, and how, the energies and transistors, how all this, equipment, and electronics and electrons and components works together to make something special, and I'm always, intrigued by that. And I'm like, wow, how even when I first turned on my little, LED, back in the day, it was like a little light bulb. Now it's LED, but before I used to be big LED. Now it's just like mini LEDs that you can see on TVs or anything. But before it was, which is called light emitting diode. That's what LED means.
Okay, I did not see you teaching me some tech right now, man. Because listen, I just got into tech. I started like breaking down my game consoles, whether they get messed up or not. I'm just experimenting right now. I'm about to experiment with my laptop. God help me, because I might just destroy it. But you're right, man. There's something about technology, and it's super useful, right? Because man, I'm not ashamed to admit that I rely on my phone. And
technology is what we use. It's the tools that we use every day.
Of course.
It's your phone, whether it's your house. Like my house is smart house. You know what I mean? I can turn off my light. I can check outside. With the cams. At the ring.
Like it just adds so much.
I can talk to people, man. Like leave my package at the door, leave it in the bag. What's going on? Who are you? You know what I mean? It's beautiful. I can go overseas. I mean, I did it. When I went overseas, actually, when I went to Japan, I shut my light off. I was like, oh my God, I left my light off at the house. I was like, oh, duh.
Just turn
it off. You know what I mean? But I did it once. I went to Taiwan a couple years back, and I left my light on. And I was just like, every day, like with my eyes open, like in the middle of the night, I was just thinking like my electric bill. Holy shit. You know what I mean? And after that, I was like, nope. And so I got everything smart. I can just turn it off, shut it off. I can open doors, lock doors. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it adds security. It just organizes yourself.
Yeah.
Everything. But man, are you like Dominican or Chinese? Which one is it? Because you travel so much to like China, Asia, Japan, Taiwan. Like, why do you travel so much to Asia?
First, I want to say, speak for yourself. Because you travel to China.
But I'm interviewing you right now. This is about you right now, not about me, man.
Well, not to be honest, I always love to travel. Ever since I left the bank, I used to work at the bank as a manager. Ever since I left the bank, that's why I left the bank actually, because I wanted to travel. So I saved money. I worked. I did my job, my time at the bank. I saved money, and I was like, I'm out. I want to, see the world. So I didn't just go to Asia. I also went to Europe, all over Europe. Friends.
Were you backpacking, or did you stay in like hostel? Like, how did you?
I did backpacking. But the second time I went to Europe, actually, I brought my mom as a birthday gift. So I brought her to Europe to travel to Spain, France, Italy, and all, everywhere. Because I told her that one day I was going to do that for her. So that was like my bucket list. I'm going to take my mom to Europe. You know what I mean? So we did a Euro trip, just me and my mom. You know what I mean? So
you had your mom backpacking with you?
Actually, she did.
She was down for it?
I mean, we didn't stay in hostel. We stayed in regular hotel, but she walked.
Okay.
And it was sort of, we can call it a backpack. And if
Yo, all right. So I'm gonna need you to tell me how to do it, cause I'm not gonna get my mom to walk.
no, but
Like my
it was
mom
good
is just not
exercise
gonna
because
do it.
the thing about the walk is that there's so many sightseeing. Let's say you want to see the Eiffel Tower, and from the Eiffel Tower you want to see Notre Dame. It's a couple blocks, but you still got to walk those couple blocks.
Yeah,
I mean, you could take the taxi, but what is the fun? What is the fun into taking a taxi? Sightseeing, you would ride
The
it
walking is part of the process.
Yeah, exactly. You want to experience. Like I walk, we stop by, we have some coffee, in some alley in France. You know what I mean? We went to La Louvre, which is the museum where the Mona Lisa is and all this stuff.
Yo, so I never seen the Mona Lisa, but I hear it's tiny.
Yeah, it's not that big.
Why?
It's not,
like I don't understand. Why do they?
Because it was a painting. Remember that it was a painting.
Yeah.
I mean, they make it big because everything on TV looks big. You know what I mean?
Okay.
But when you see it in person, like it's just like, oh, it's just a regular painting. You know what I mean? But and it's behind like a glass of a glass of a glass. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like it's
so
super
maybe
high security.
Super security, and maybe even the glass make it look smaller. Maybe the lenses. I don't know, but yeah, it's not that big. It's not that great. So we also went to Rome. I took it to Rome in Italy, and we went all over the Colosseum.
I want to go to the Colosseum.
We went to St. Peter's, the church. What's the name of the St. Peter? Not the cathedral. Where the Pope is.
Okay. Yeah. I'm drawing a blank right now.
Yeah. I'm like myself. I'll remember later. Like,
Vatican.
Yeah, I was gonna say later. I'll call you. Hey, midnight. Vatican, dude. That wasn't it. They went the podcast. Vatican.
Yo, the funny thing is that you're not lying.
I wouldn't call you.
I know.
So yeah, we went to the Vatican. It was fun. It was a lot of fun, And then once I was done with that, then I was like, all right, let me go to Japan. Because like I said, why do I go to Japan so much in China, Taiwan, whatever? Tech. It's all about tech. Japan have all the tech since I was raised with. Nintendo, Sony, Walkman.
Yeah, that's where they come from.
That's where what I mean. And I wanted to all right, let me go and visit the place, where I, my childhood, Sega, Genesis.
No, I want to go back. Not go back, but I never been to Japan.
As a matter of fact, I went to the Sega building, which now, like a month ago, actually they actually knocked the building over, which it was really sad.
Why?
I guess they sold it.
It died out.
It was all arcade, like all the 4 buildings of.
Dang, how would they? That's a fossil right there.
That is a monument.
That's like a
a lot of people crying. They were like, I see it online. People were like, no, and I wanted to go, but the pandemic.
Yeah, kind of.
Oh, all right.
I hear you, man.
But yeah, so also I'm starting a review tech soon on that podcast.
Okay.
So we're gonna review tech phones. Like which phone is more suitable for you, which one should you buy, should you not buy. You were saying earlier. About iPhone or Android.
Yeah, so that's the true question. This is why I really brought you here, just to ask you, Android or iPhone, because I need to get an upgrade.
So I used to be an iPhone fan. I was crazy iPhone fan. If you said anything bad about iPhone back in the days, I wouldn't be mad. I wouldn't probably fight you.
Oh man.
I was like a really extreme iPhone, but then afterwards. iPhone started like abusing its followers. It started abusing its fans. It started I didn't like I don't know if you noticed, but like you would pay $1,000 for 16 gigabyte storage, which with 4K, and 8K, file would fill it up in an instant. And that's one of the things that I felt that they were abusing. When Android, you can just add memory and do whatever you want, and you can go into any app, emulation or whatever. iPhone don't let you go into emulation.
And that's what they call Apple, like a closed system.
It's not an open everything. System. No, because everything they want to control you. They want to tell you what you need and what you have to have. Not what you want. It's what they're going to give you. This is what you get, and this is how much you're going to pay. Samsung, and LG. And Android and other stuff, what's the Google phone?
Is it Pixel? I think
It's a Pixel. I think it's Pixel.
Yeah.
You know, every other phone Android.
Yeah, yeah,
They give
yeah.
you the option, like, okay, you know, you want to download this app, download it. You want to add more memory, just go buy it. Why should I pay $500 for a memory that costs like $10?
Yeah, for real.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I can use my Android phone as a hard drive storage.
That's true. Your phone has a terabyte, doesn't it?
1 terabyte.
That's a lot of
That's a lot.
gigabytes.
Because I use a lot of stuff, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, especially for the podcast, so like I go to your place and you're like, oh, Santos, I need you to, you know, like download this. And like, you know, I don't have a hard drive. Like, oh, yeah, I can put it on my phone. Yeah, it's a hard drive. And I have plenty of storage. You know, iPhone don't let you do that kind of stuff. You know what I mean?
Nah, it's really hard.
And if I want to switch that terabyte and put it into my other phone or into my other computer or use it for something else, I just take it out of the phone and you know, and use it for whatever I want, and I can just install another terabyte or another 500 gigabyte on my phone. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I got options that I can do so much. I can download this, I can play with this, I can do that, and that's, you know what I mean? I love freedom. I like liberty to do whatever I want with my product. It's mine. I bought it. I purchased. I paid good money for it. What can I, you know? And also another thing that Apple does is that they don't give you the right to repair.
What do you mean?
Like if you buy a phone.
Oh yeah. Well, no, you can. The only thing is
they limit you, and they do it on purpose.
Yeah, they limit.
They do it on
lot.
purpose. Now they getting more, you know, slack from people voicing, you know, their voice like, oh, you know, and now they're like a little bit loosen, not a lot, just like a percentage loosen up. You know what I mean? But they still control everything you do. Oh, you want a new screen? No, you cannot go to a regular dealer. You gotta go to Apple, because if you go to a regular dealer, we'll trick your phone. And they'll break it. You know what I mean? You won't be able to use it. You know, or you won't be able to use the, you know, the an app or like the the camera or whatever. They'll make it impossible for you or difficult.
Yeah, that's just the nature of like a closed system with anything, right?
Well, they
It's
just
really
want they want control, and you know that's, if I pay for my things, you know, why should I? You know what I mean? It's mine. So
Of course.
that's one of the reasons that I was like, nah, I switch over.
That's the power of brand, man. That's
And-
just the power of brand.
Yeah, but it shouldn't be like that, because that's not brand. That's called that has another name, monopoly.
You think they're a monopoly? I don't
Of
think.
course, yeah, they are.
No, they're not a monopoly.
Yeah, they are.
A monopoly?
Not in that sense of like options of phones, but in the sense that you have a phone, you gotta do what we told you. It's our way or the highway.
I can see how monopoly in a sense can translate into that.
It is. If in that sense, that's what they look. That's what they are
Of
reaching
course.
for. Eventually, that's what they want to become. That's why they want to outdo every other phone and be, you know, just be
I kind of
one.
feel like that's like most enterprises, right? They won't tell you straight up what they're
Of
trying
course,
to do.
but that's their
they
hidden
want to be
agenda.
the only. Yeah, they want to be the only one. And Santo, I mean, we talked about tech. We talked about about you running for council, and you know what inspired you, man. But I want to give you the last word, and I want you to share with people that believe they can aspire for something greater. What would you tell that student? Think about a high school student who's in class right now, just us, you know?
First of all, whenever for city council, as I said earlier, I did it because I believe I'm the best option for my community. I love my community. I've been here, and I know my people, and you know, I know, you know, that I will do the best I can for them, you know, and that's why I did it. The best advice I can give to anyone is, you know, one is be you, second one is believe in yourself, and third is, you know, never give up.
And how would a person know how to be themselves?
That I cannot tell you. That's up to you. You know what I mean? Like, I can lead you to drink water, but I can make you drink it. You know, I can tell you how to get there, but
I guess, let me reframe it. How did you discover yourself? Like, because some people that come from our neighborhoods, right? They'll be dealing with trauma, so they wouldn't even know how to like look deep, right? So one thing that I did or would do would be take hikes, and then when I feel certain emotions, whether if it's anger, even boredom, right? I've always questioned my boredom. I would sit with those emotions and really try to figure out, why am I feeling this way at this moment? Because you can be sad, but in your head, you can say to yourself, but I want to be happy right now. Right? So there's a disconnect between emotions, and a lot of time that disconnect comes from trauma. So let me rephrase it this way. How did you look past, and this is assuming that you had trauma. How?
If you live in Providence,
Okay.
you have trauma.
All right. So how were you able to silence the trauma to say, no, like, the past don't define me. It's this that defines me. How did you get to that point?
I don't know, to be honest. Like, maybe it was my upbringing. You know what I mean? Like, I see my mom working hard for, you know, our families, my siblings and stuff, and, myself. And, like, I didn't go to a good school. When I went to college, I had to relearn everything because I wasn't, the school system in Providence is, sucks. So I had to relearn everything. So it's a matter of, how you wanted to become. You know what I mean?
Personal decision, yeah.
It's your personal decision. You know what I mean? I one of the things that I did, I used to hate books a lot. And then, believe it or not, I prayed. I was like, God, I want to, do so. I'm a Christian, you know what I mean? Background. And I was like, I want to learn, and then I started going to bookstores, libraries, and then more bookstores, and every bookstore. And that's where I felt comfortable. I just sat down, ordered some coffee, read books, and I found out a lot to reading, actually. So if I were to recommend something, it's read. Go to a library. Go to, help your library, your local library. We have one right here, I think, thank God. But I also go to bookstore.
The one in downtown is beautiful too. They just remodeled it and all that. It looks really nice, man.
Yeah, I go to bookstore, Barnes and Nobles, and reading, you learn a lot. I listen to a lot of, great inspirational book. That's one thing that helped me out. I like calm. I don't like noise. You know what I mean? Although I love hip hop, I love jazz. You know what I mean? But jazz is actually I listen to all the time. But I would say, just find your safety place, and that's what I did. Okay. I found my safety place. So I used to go to the bookstore all the time, and I got inspired by seeing others, even on cafe. When you go to have some coffee, you see students, in downtown reading, working, focusing.
Because of that synergy.
And that synergy, I was like, oh wow, let me find myself. Let me, do this. Let me, you know what I mean? You gotta find your vision. You gotta find your superpower. So that's one thing that I think helped me a lot. If it's finding my place, my special place where I will go and just relax and calm down and meditate and shit.
All right, Santo. I mean, I can't thank you enough for willing to participate in this podcast. I thank you for what you're doing for the community with your podcast and with your work in general. You know what I mean? You really are becoming a voice and you really are helping out folks. And I appreciate the information that you drop. I'm pretty sure some high schooler, some kid can see this and get some sort of inspiration or get some sort of idea, which is, if it's one person that learns and we inspire, then I think it's worth it.
I appreciate you having me over, and thank you for the time. It's been my honor to be here with you, and I thank your viewers, and I thank everyone. Thank you so much.
And we'll definitely be back, though.
We'll definitely be back.
So with that being said, we out.
Thank you.
All right.